Welcome to Inside the Franchise Growth Engine, presented by Hex Growth, a firm focused on building predictable pipelines, scalable growth systems, and enterprise value for emerging franchise brands. These are real stories from real franchise brands, but we go deeper. Inside the Franchise Growth Engine, leaders unpack systems, capital decisions, and operational discipline that turn growth into enterprise value. On today's podcast, we're excited to have Danny Hernandez from Realty One. And what makes this conversation interesting is that the most discussions around franchising focus on the brand side, marketing, growth, and expansion. But brands don't grow without deals, and deals don't happen without the right candidates. Danny operates at the center of that, where candidate quality, deal flow, and broker networks determine whether a brand scales or it stalls. Danny, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Danny, can you give us a brief overview of your background and what led you into franchise sales with Realty One?
Well, I started in the real estate industry back in 1989 as an independent broker. Well, started as an agent and then became an independent broker for many years in North Miami Beach. And then my real estate career actually catapulted back in 2006 when the crash hit. I got through my sphere, I landed with a project called the Atlantis in the Bahamas, where I ran the sales and marketing for the whole entire resort when it comes to condominiums ownership. And that's kind of really where my career expanded into the international space. And then from there, through the years, I became a speaker and coach for different organizations, NAR, RF, and so on and so forth. And 5 years ago, Realty One Group reached out to me and said we wanted to do our international expansion, which was exciting for me. And since then, I've been here. And now I just got promoted last couple months ago, really, to Executive Vice President of Sales for the whole entire country. I mean, not only for the country, but also globally as well. So for the whole brand.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been really, let's say, a journey because the brand, it's only been 20 years old that the brand has actually been established. We have over 470 offices in the U.S. and we're over 27 countries globally. But we only started our international growth only 5 years ago when I came on board. We're on pace this year to have over 500 franchises within the U.S. and over 22,000 agents. And it's a privately held company. It's not a publicly held company, which is only one owner. And we're super excited about our growth because, like I say, we're not a real estate brand. We're a relationship brand. It just so happens that we do real estate.
Yeah. Well, congratulations once again. That's a big promotion. And I know we spoke to you before this call for a pre-podcast call, and you were sort of talking about your growth trajectory and, how well you did in the international market. So yeah, that's awesome. When you think back, what was your first impression, when you first started selling franchise territories, what was your first impression of how these franchise deals actually get done? Just putting on your pure sales hat.
Well, we're called the unbrokerage because we don't really follow what every other brokerage does. So if a brokerage is going this way, well, we go the opposite way. That's why we're called the unbrokerage. In our brand, we have the fundamentals, which are called the 6 fundamentals. And one of the very first one is called culture. Not culture, but culture. What we've done is we've taken the word cool and we've taken the word culture and kind of made it our own. So with that being said, to answer your questions, we don't really believe in territory. We believe in free market. So we have right now 3 internal reps that basically have the whole United States. We don't really believe in exclusion. We believe in inclusion. So that's kind of what's made us really particular, because we don't really follow the norm of what everybody else does.
No, I love that. I think culture is extremely important, and that is different. That is very different, especially in the franchising world, to not focus on, the territories, but have it more open like that. It's very unique. So, well, with that, I guess speaking of culture, with that being said, what systems or tools do you provide that help these franchisees scale their area faster than others?
Well, And we don't talk bad about any other brand because they're all great, to be honest with you. That's first and foremost. Every brand has all the tools, just like how we do. The only thing that really kind of makes us different is our 6 C's, because we start off with culture, communication, connect, care, commissions, and community, right? All the brands have the same 6 C's except for one that which they can't copy, which is our culture. And that's what really sets us apart. But there's a definition when it comes to the culture. And I'd like to talk about that here a little bit, because that's really the fundamentals of our brand. Culture to us is really celebrating each other's wins. It's also allowing the broker owners to tell their story, because at the end of the day, selling is telling stories. That's what we believe. That's our fundamentals. But it's also allowing your agents to tell your story better than you as the broker. So that's actually retaining. So we believe telling your story is recruiting, and allowing others to tell your story better than you is retaining. So it's kind of like the two R's. But really where our strength lies is on the support side of stuff. As most franchises out there, to kind of sit back and just collect fees. We're not that type of brand. We're actually involved in your business. We will never tell you what to do. We will always guide you. We handhold you through the onboarding process until you're 10 years up. So that's where our strength lies, is on the support side of stuff. We're involved in your business as much as you want us to be involved. That's what really is our strength.
Danny, what do you think is the hardest part of closing franchise deals today?
It's a great question, because you'll see a lot of people when we have conversations that says, well, really, what sets you apart? And we really kind of deep dive when we're having conversations, and we often say more no than yes to potential candidates when it comes to selling franchises. We really look at the competition, because this is not a place where one size fits all. We have to accommodate to every different sector of the United States, and actually even globally. But what our fundamentals, we show them this is what you're doing, and this is what you could be doing with us. And we show them real life scenarios. These are the tools, obviously, that we have. And we have some proprietary tools that we've created ourselves that sets us also apart. But we actually dive into each individual market. And that's really what sets us apart as well, is because we're a privately held brand, not a publicly held brand. And usually when you're a publicly held brand, it's kind of like a pyramid. I'm not saying it's a pyramid, but I'm just referring to, because you're driven by Wall Street, and you got the founder, and then you got the agents on the very bottom. We are called the inverted pyramid, where the agents are on top and then the founders on the very bottom. We're driven by Main Street, which is our agents. The only way we make our money as a brand, simple, especially a real estate brand, a franchise real estate brand, is transactions and agent count. So it's in our best interest to make sure that we provide you the support, because that's the only way we make our money.
So the follow-up question to that, as you were speaking, I was thinking, you have a sales team. I know you mentioned that earlier. What do you look for in the right candidate for Realty One? And then what are the red flags in candidates that maybe won't be a good fit for your brand?
Well, obviously, when we're having conversations with potential candidates for franchise, we look at their financials. Obviously, you have to have the resources in order because we don't want to set you up for failure. Hey, and then you have to be an influencer. And in our business, you have to be that, because it's all about agent counting transactions. The more agents, the more transactions. So we're not looking about just the count. We're looking about also the quality. That's why I said earlier that we often say no more than we say yes, because we don't want to be closing out franchises. We want to make sure that wherever relationship we have with a potential candidate for a franchise, that's a long-lasting relationship. So that's really what our bases are.
So let's say someone comes in and they have sufficient resources, but you just aren't getting a sense that they would be a good fit for the brand. What are those things that sort of give you that gut feel? Because you're a sales guy, right? Through and through.
Absolutely.
You follow your gut. What are those things? They have plenty of money. They can do it. But what are the things that you guys are looking for from a character or core value perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. We always go back to our 6 C's. They have to fit into our culture. So we look at when we're actually having these conversations with these potential candidates, we always reference our 6 C's and our one manifesto, because that's, the life and blood of our brand. So if they fit within that criteria, then yes, we'll continue those conversations. Hopefully they'll buy a franchise from us. But at the end of the day, it really sums it out to our 6 C's. A, influencer. B, you got to fit into our culture. And our culture is really simple. We're not a corporate company, to be honest with you. You will not see anybody in our corporation wear a suit and tie. It just doesn't exist with our brand. And I'll repeat myself, we are a relationship brand first. So, and we look at that very, very closely when we're having these conversations, especially on Zoom, because that's the new world is, we're having these conversations on Zoom. We look into their eyes, just as simple as that. The old sales tactic is if you look at people in their eyes, it's kind of like opening up the doors to the world. So you'll find out if that person is actually, truly fits into our culture. And, some of them don't. So we say no, unfortunately, because we want to make sure that whoever we say yes to is really aligned with our core values, which is our 6 C's.
Well, with that being said, with the 6 C's, if does that affect if or is your decision making affected by whether someone has experience in real estate or not? So if somebody wanted to be a franchisee, but let's say they don't have a background in real estate or they've never been an agent, do you consider them and show them the way, or do you prefer people with a background in?
No, not at all. Some people are just investors, but obviously they have a team that, they bring on broker owners that have the experience and have the know-how and have the influence and have the way to educate other people's which aligns with our core values. So yeah, no, absolutely. But what we're really trying to concentrate in our private brand, which is Realty One Group, is that we're trying to create entrepreneurs within. Instead of looking out, we're trying to create entrepreneurs within by really cultivating our agents to be their own brokerage, to have their own brokerage. Because at the end of the day, we're all about home ownership, right? That's what we do. That's our blood. That's our daily lives, right? It's home ownership. When you're an agent and you're working for a brand out there, you're actually renting from a broker. You don't own the brokerage. So we want to create, now we're actually creating a program where we're actually creating new entrepreneurs where you own your own brokerage through our system. So it's been really, we just started this about a year ago, which is called co-franchising. And we've created so many more new entrepreneurs that never had the idea of actually owning a brokerage, but they realized, hey, our brand is actually helping you have your own brokerage. It's not competing with the current broker of record that they have, but just adding to the broker of record and adding to our network. So we're really kind of looking in instead of looking out to grow.
What's the one thing you believe that franchise brands don't understand about brokers? You've been mentioning brokers a lot, but what do you think is misunderstood about that?
I'm glad you asked that question because our brand is known to visit and have relationship with not only the brokers, but with the agents as well. So what I mean visit is office visits. Most brands out there, they really don't know who the offices are, who the broker owners are, who the agents are. We have what's called the franchise growth consultant, which visit various offices throughout the United States. I personally handle the international division, so I go visit offices internationally. You have no idea. I'm going to show you an example. I went to an office in Portugal just a couple of months ago, and it wasn't a Realty One Group office. I'm just giving you a real life scenario. It wasn't a Realty One Group office. It was another office, but we were there. And I asked them, I said, does the president of your company, of your brand, ever show up in this office? You know what the broker mentioned to me? He goes, I don't even know what the president of our brand is. We're really sad. And I said, well, I'm the executive vice president of our Realty One Group, and I'm here sitting in your office with your empty. Sure enough, I just got an email last week from that he paid his way to exit his brand and started with us because of the relationship. It all starts with the relationship. That's literally who we are. Makes the world of difference. And not only that, I really kind of educate our agents and our brokers and our franchise sales reps and our staff. They not only have the relationship with the brokers, but also have the relationship with the agents. Because that's really what, at the end of the day, are those things brokers who own and who actually purchase our franchise. They want to see that. They want to show their agents that they're also getting the support, quote, unquote. And not only that, we interact with the agent and go enjoy it. So it really narrates who we really are as a brand.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Obviously, you guys are very unique and you separate yourselves. Um, with that being said, are there any innovations or changes that you're most excited about in the real estate franchise space moving forward?
Yeah, yeah. If you notice our brand, we're only actually May 1st. It'll be our 21st year. So that's our anniversary. We call it the one day. If you haven't noticed by now, we're all about the ones. So, we really are, and I know it sounds cliche, but we really truly are a family when it comes to all the broker owners, our network, and the agents. So if you really look at our brand, it's only from 2005, right? The majority of the brands, the real estate brands, are from 2005. In fact, kind of stayed ill. They're set in their ways. We're like that new iPhone that comes out every year. The nice shiny brands, the black, the gold. Everybody wants that new. That's who we are in the real estate space. So we're really super excited about that because you'll see our founder really interact with not only us as the staff, but also act with our network. And you have, in fact, you go to our website, you'll have the email or phone numbers of all the executives on the team, which is something that you really don't see often a lot, to be honest with you. So, if you're just starting as a new agent, you will automatically have access to the founder and all the leadership. And you have a lot of people like that. We live in a world, unfortunately, you live in a crazy world right now with all this stuff that's happening with the wars all around the world. We believe that we're the next giant killer because we're a happy brand. We're a brand that wants not only our agents to, be fruitful, but also the community. At the end of the day, regardless if you're with any other brand, we do the same thing, which is what put families in home. It's the most important decision of a family's life that we're involved in as real estate professionals. So we don't take that lightly. We really, we take that to heart because we want to take the gold, black and gold with our culture.
Danny, say you hire me and I'm a brand new rep working for you, and I want to sell my first, you guys don't do territories. Let's just call them licenses, franchise licenses. What's your advice to me as a new sales rep, working for you to sell my first 10 licenses?
If you are a sales rep and you need to sell and there's already an existing brand, I'll just give you an example. Well, we don't put another brand right in front of the other brand. So there are some limitations to where, when it comes to territories or something like that, we don't really put, offices on top of each other. We'll look at the demographic. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen a lot, but yes, we look at the demographic. So as for a sales rep, because at the end of the day, we all get paid commission, right? And if sales rep wants to sell, we have instances where we look at the territory where this particular potential real estate broker wants to put an office. We make sure that there's not another Realty One Group office right next to it. There's got to be some parameters. So as a sales rep, you want to make sure that they're in tune with our culture and that they're having the right conversations. I'm going to repeat myself, that they're having the right competition, the conversation. Again, we want to make sure that our reps have the relationship. In fact, our process is, by the time you say, hey, I want to join with Realty One Group, it's about 6 conversations that we have. We just don't say yes from the get-go. It's, we have those in-depth conversations. Just like unlike a lot of the other brands, we don't believe in amounts. We believe in quality. We don't believe in, X amount. We just want to make sure that if we have the quality people, the transactions will be there for sure.
It's very clear to me, Danny, that it's very relationship driven.
Yes.
And maybe it's because I'm a lifelong salesperson. Monica's a lifelong salesperson. It just resonates with me. And I love that you guys you're focused on that at all aspects of your business, not just with the sales team, but with the brokers, with the agents within those shops. I mean, it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is. And there's, when I came on board, that's the reason why I came on board. I was an independent broker for 30 plus years. I've never worked for anybody in my whole entire life. I'm 59 years old. This is actually my first job at Realty One Group that I'm being paid a salary. And I started this job when I was 55. And the reason why I started this job is because I felt that I was aligned with their culture. I felt because I was an independent broker, I never really believed in brands until I found Realty One Group. And I was like, man, I wish I would have known this back then when I first started, because it would have helped me. I would have gone further in my career because if I would have joined Realty One Group when it first started. But yes, I'm joined now, and we're still in the infancy stages. But what I was trying to get back to you is that, um, again, I was just an independent broker, and then I saw that this brand, didn't copy what the other brands did, the big brands, and
Yeah.
I was always successful because, as an independent broker, I didn't want to do what the other brokers did. So that to me was like, oh, wait a minute, they are aligned with my own values. But that's the true reason why I joined Realty One Group, because I believe in their values, because those are my values.
Feeling respected and people being kind, it's very easy to do. I tell my kids it costs no money. But when a company that you're working with makes you feel that way, you feel like you're ready to like go run through walls for them. Like I want to run through a wall for that company.
Absolutely, doesn't it? You do business with people you like. You don't do
Yes.
business with people you don't like, right?
Yeah.
So, that's what, really resonated with me. I personally get to see and have the honor to, see this culture globally. Because at the end of the day, we're in real estate, right? And in the United States, we're the only country that has what's called an MLS, right? So internationally, there's no such thing as an MLS. But you get to see people from Argentina, from Italy, from Portugal, from Mexico, from South America, Brazil, embrace our brand, and they don't really get to receive all the tools that we have here in the United States, but they embrace our brand because of that personal connection. It's all about relationship. The business happens afterwards. As long as you create that initial relationship, hey, the money's there afterwards.
Since you've been in this industry for quite some time, so obviously you've seen a lot over the years with different brands. What if someone was wanting to, or if someone was considering owning a real estate franchise, not necessarily Realty One, but just comes to you and says, "Hey, look, I'm looking to get into this." What kind of advice would you give them as they're searching?
Simple. What are your core values? What is your mission? What are you trying to accomplish? And what is your exit strategy? With our brand, those are the three major questions that we ask a particular candidate is, what is it you truly want? You owning a brokerage, now you have assets. You're not renting from another broker. Now you own something. You can sell it or you can will it to your children. You have an asset. You're not renting. So it kind of reverts back to the home ownership part of things. And that's what we're really teaching. And that's what we want to teach because, we feel that there's a need, especially nowadays, to implement those principles to our intake pool. You see all this stuff happening in the real estate world with all these lawsuits and copycat lawsuits and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, buying and selling is really bartering, which is what this country was founded on. Back in the Pilgrim days, you bartered with, chickens and cows and so on. That's real estate basically today. So we really want to go back to those principles and really change lives. And I know that sounds corny when I say, we really want to change lives, but that's the reality. We do want to change lives. And we see it when we get together at our annual summit, which is our annual conference. And that's when our whole entire network globally gets together. And you can see that camaraderie between our broker agents and owners. It's just something that's beautiful. And I usually say to people that candidates, I said, I could be talking all day how great Realty One Group is, but until you actually visit and go participate in one of our conferences, you will never feel the magnitude of what this company can really do. So we feel that, we are in a pivotal time right now, especially in this year in 2026, because we feel that we want to be proactive instead of reactive. And this is what really changed. This is what really sets us apart as well. It's what we're looking at not now, we're looking at in the future. So we believe that I know for a fact that we are the next giant killer because of our culture.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Well, this has been great, Daniel. Are there any final thoughts that you have about Realty One for anyone that is now thinking about it and how they can reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me at 407-729-3795 or email me. And that's my direct cell phone number. So I'm publicly putting out my cell phone number. Again, it's 407-729-3795, or at Danny, Danny, at Realty One Group, ONE Group.com. The only advice that I would give is that if you're interested, if you're an agent or if you're a broker and you really are lacking the support, and if you're an agent that just wants to inquire, what does a brokerage really look like? How does one really know how to manage their own brokerage or acquire their own brokerage? Just have a conversation with us. There's no love us. We want to create entrepreneurs. We want to create, what this really country was founded on, which is selling and buying. We really want to go back to that. We believe that within our culture, which is the culture, the connect, the communication, the community, the care, and lastly is the commission, because our model is 100% model. But if you want that support, if you truly want that support, reach out to me, because we are the one.
Or there's probably even a world, right, Danny, if I can add to that, you do have the support, but you don't have the culture, so they can still reach out to you, because sometimes you might have all the support in the world, but if that environment's toxic or you don't feel like you're living your best life, reach out to Realty One.
Yeah, reach out to us if you're looking to be an entrepreneur. We will help you. We'll handhold you. In fact, I'll even put you in contact with several of the owners, so you can have those conversations with broker owners that are in our system without me being involved. We're very transparent. In fact, if we look at stats, stats.realtyonegroup.com, you'll see that our live stats, which is the only brand that actually provides, how many transactions they're doing, and that's on per minute. It's live. How many agents and where we're located at. You need to come and join the one.
What a wonderful conversation today, Danny. We really appreciate your time. Again, everyone, check out Realty One. Danny gave you his contact information. Reach out to him if you are interested in joining the brand. Thank you again, Danny.
Thank you very much.